Hello and welcome to the Stroke It podcast. I'm Alday Townsend, your host. So excited for you to be here today. I am recording from my mom's office in Dahlonega, Georgia, Thanksgiving weekend. So if the audio is a little bit different or you hear things happening in the background, that is because this is what you do as a podcast host. I do a lot of pre-recording at my home studio, but there are times where I record on the road. So thank you so much for joining in. This is season 3, episode 3. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been tuning in and that's recently downloaded the podcast. If you missed season 3's episode 1 or 2, I want to encourage you to check those out. The first episode, I did 5 things that I learned in 2024, and that incorporates launching a podcast, launching a business, writing and publishing a book, and a few other things as well. So if you're really wanting to redefine or enhance your life and you really want to make 2025 your best year yet, I would encourage you to listen to that podcast. And then the other episode that just dropped this past week was with my mentor, Jamie. We talk about leadership, we talk about marriage, we talk about caring for the people that work for your organization. So if you are a leader or an executive or middle manager, it's going to be a great podcast for you to check out. Super grateful for Jamie. He's been my mentor for the past 10 or 12 years. And so I want to recommend anyone that's interested in mentorship to reach out to me or to other people, or if you're interested in getting a mentor, start building that network. I used SCORE as well as an organization to secure mentors. I think mentors are key to our success. They can share wisdom, experiences. A lot of them have life lessons they can share as well. And a lot of them will do it at no cost to you as well. It's one of their ways to give back. And so I want to recommend that. And given that it is Thanksgiving weekend and I'm with my family up in Georgia, I thought about doing a grace and gratitude podcast. And this episode, I'm going to be focusing on the meaning of grace and how to give grace to not only you, but to others in your life. And we'll be going through all the stakeholders and then gratitude as well. This episode was really inspired this morning on our morning walk. My mom lives in Dahlonega, which is just north of Atlanta. And you may have heard of Helen, Georgia, or Amamacola Falls, which is like the beginning of the Appalachian Trail. So it's really beautiful up here. There's still some leaves that are changing colors and the weather is just awesome. Obviously, I live in Sarasota, Florida, super flat. So I really love coming up here. If any of you are into hiking and you want like a weekend getaway, I want to recommend you check out this place called Len, Len, foot with an E, in. And it's a great little weekend hike in Georgia along the Appalachian Trail. And they do family style dinners and breakfast. And it's just a beautiful place. So it's great for families and it's just great like with a bestie or your partner as well, just taking some time to get out into nature and take advantage of all the great views. And it's just a great place too for connection. And I just highly recommend it. My mom and I did a hike 2 years ago there and it was great. And I did a lot of social media, which everyone's like, where are you guys hiking this time? Because they want to follow along. So we will be hiking Blood Mountain while I'm here. My mom wants her ashes spread there when she passes away. So she wants me to take the journey with her while she's still alive. Not that she's passing away anytime soon, but she wants to share that experience with me. So anyway, so I just wanted to throw all that out there. So I really wanted to focus on grace. Actually, my word for the year was accountability for 2024, which if you've been listening to the podcast, I talk a lot about picking a word for the year and the impact that it has personally and professionally. My company also picks a word for the year and we lean into that word, and that word really impacts how we develop our strategies for marketing and develop our growth strategies for our team and for our company as well. And then personally, I've been picking a word for several years and it's been super impactful for how I wake up, how I am intentional with certain things as well. And it's really helped me transform my approach to everyday living. And so my word for 2024 originally was accountability. And I chose that word because there were a lot of changes coming up within the organization, and we were going to be moving. And I was like, the only way to actually move the needle and to actually make all these happen was to hold the team members accountable. So we have like 90-day plans, and we have, meetings that say, okay, this is what we're going to do. But that's great to have a plan. But if you don't hold people accountable and follow up, it's not going to happen. So I was at the CEO Forum breakfast so many months into 2024, and there was a speaker, and he brought up different words. And I was like, of course, raised my hand. And I was like, accountability is my word. And he's like, that's the worst word you could possibly have. Nobody wants to work for anyone that's all they want to do is hold them accountable. And so I was like, oh, and then he made like a really great case for it in that moment. And of course, I'm in a room with CEOs, people that are probably more successful, they're more seasoned. So, I have like a little fish in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I must be doing this all wrong. So I left, and then I had always been saying the word grace recently. So that's when I leaned into the word grace, and I started allowing a lot of grace for people, which is the exact opposite of what I was actually wanting to do, what I intended to do for 2024. But what I did learn with this word is it allowed me to have more connection, more peace, more patience, more understanding for individuals within the organization and within my personal life as well. So that's really kind of what I want to share with you today. I am leaning more back into the accountability because I think it's super key. And as Jamie and I talked about on the last podcast, people want to be held accountable. They want you to follow up with them. They want to know that the work they're doing is making an impact, and that you actually care about what it is that is on your task list and what you are accomplishing. And that gives them a sense of wins as well, because it's like they get to share that when you hold them accountable, and you can see the progress they're making day after day or month, or whether you're doing a 90-day. So anyway, so I'm going to be sharing a little bit about that, and then we're going to get into the gratitude. But as far as grace, I really just wanted to lean into the book Stroke It, which if you don't have my book, please get it. It's on Amazon. Stroke It. It talks about a lot of things that I'm going to mention today as well, in different areas of allowing grace, giving gratitude, acknowledging individuals. So when it comes to yourself, like, you are number one first and foremost. So I just wrote down a couple things that I wanted to mention. So one, it's okay not to know all the answers. And I think that sometimes we struggle with this personally and professionally. Like, we have to have all the answers, and we have to know everything, and we have to know what the game plan is. And that's not the case. So allow yourself some grace and know that you don't need to know all the answers. It's okay to be tired and need rest. A lot of us are on hamster wheels. I really feel like right now, a lot of us are working super hard. We're aggressive right now. We're having to make a lot of changes. Some of us are working harder than we were 1 or 2 years ago. And pre-COVID, like, we're back to where we were as far as like execution, commitment, time, hours put in. So if you need some rest, I want to encourage you to take the rest that you need. For years, I didn't take rest. I was like, resting, that's for lazy people, or you're not going to get anything accomplished. You're not going to achieve any of your goals. And I have found that rest is a necessity. And whether it's a Saturday or Sunday, I commit to not going anywhere. All day, I stay home. That resting may incorporate me working in the yard, or it may just be me forcing myself to lay in bed and watch a Netflix series, which I don't really watch a lot of TV, but I will force myself to lay in bed so I can get some rest. I want to remind you too that you don't have to have it all together all the time. I was watching this Bad Moms movie, and they're talking about how they have to be spot on, and moms have to be doing this, and you're a bad mom if you don't do this and that. And that's not the case. So allow yourself some grace. You do not need to be perfect. No one's expecting you to be perfect. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to keep up with the Joneses, or you're comparing yourself to other people. And I want to encourage you not to do that. It's also the honey-do list. Throw it out. Don't need to be doing it every weekend. You don't have to be doing all those chores. Yes, it's important to keep your family together and keep things organized. But I would say, if you can, hire out someone to come and clean your house once a week, or bi-monthly, or every other week. That way you can spend that quality time resting or that quality time with your loved ones as well. They're not going to know if you folded the laundry or somebody else did. They're not going to know that you scrubbed the toilets or someone else did. They're not going to know that you hired someone to mow your lawn as well. So when you think about your schedule and the limited time that you have available, I want you to lean in and allow yourself some grace. You do not have to do everything. Nobody is going to notice as well. When it comes to your spouse, I was asking my mom and her husband and my husband, I was like, give me some examples. And one of the things is acceptance. So, if you want to allow your spouse some grace, accept them for who they are. If they don't want to do anything, don't force them to do anything at all. And sometimes we just need to chill out and stop writing them or giving them a hard time. Like, just let them relax and sit on the couch if that's what they need. As far as your employee, some of us receive some really great emails from some employers, and those employees really valued the email. So, for instance, my mom, she got an email from her team lead or maybe her boss, and they have Thursday off and Friday paid holidays, but I think Wednesday was like a flex day, and Monday and Tuesday were working hours. But her boss had emailed her and said, hey, do what you need to do this week, get the job done. If you're traveling, travel. If you need to do this, do that, go pick up your family from the airport. Then they just get your work done. That was allowing grace for her to do what she needs to do, but to still be a great employee. And I thought that was really great, that flex time. And when it comes to employer, respecting your employer allows them that sense of like grace or support as well. And I would encourage you to lean into and like give them some grace when they're not at the office. A lot of times some employees think that just because I'm not at the office and I'm not working. And what a lot of times that we don't understand about our employer or boss or the CEO or the owner is that we never turn off our minds. We're constantly thinking of work. Even if we're on vacation or even if we're not in the office, we're working, we're thinking, we're brainstorming, we're downloading. So allow your boss some grace if you don't see them at the office, because it doesn't mean they're not working and they don't care for the organization. And when it comes to family, I want to encourage you to once again accept your family members for who they are. If they show up dressed a certain way to Thanksgiving or to a party, that's who they are. Just allow them to be them. Accept them for who they are. Not everyone's going to be like you. Not everybody wants to be Martha Stewart. Not everybody wants to be the PTO president of the school. So accepting your family members for who they are is a way of allowing grace too. So I also want to take a moment and talk about gratitude, because I think it's really important. And I think it's important to give gratitude, not just times of holidays and times around Thanksgiving. I wake up every morning and I give gratitude. I always think of one or two things that I'm thankful for. I think it's really important. It helps with your mindset, and it allows you to think about all the things that you get to do versus have to do. And a lot of times we focus on the things that we don't have versus the things that we do. So I want to encourage you to consider and think and lean into everything that you do have, because at the end of the day, that's really what matters, and it's super, super important. So once again, I'm going to kind of go through those stakeholders again. So when I talk about gratitude, waking up, giving yourself some gratitude, giving gratitude to those in your life, acknowledging the things that you do have. And I want to encourage you to accept compliments. That can be super challenging. We did an exercise this past week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago at my office, where I made everybody go around the room and share what their gifts are. Like, what is it that you bring to the table? And some of us wrote down some items, and some people were like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine saying these positive things about me. Or some of them didn't really know what gifts they had to offer. So we went around the table and everyone said, oh, I really think you are inspiration, or I love when you take your students to the stage. I can see the light in their eyes. And there were some other things that people valued about each other that others didn't know. So it was super cool exercise. But then some people were having a really hard time accepting those compliments or seeing that other people see all this great value in us. So just want you to lean into that and be open-minded, receive all of those positive affirmations, and receive all of that gratitude from your team members or for your family members. When it comes to your spouse, I have a whole chapter all about showing gratitude and acknowledging your spouse and how important they are, and acknowledging their contribution. I think a lot of times we just have this mindset that's what they're supposed to do, and we're married and we have children and that's what they have to do, and that's part of their commitment to the family, and that's what they signed up for. That's great, and yes, in a way you're right. However, let's not take them for granted. Let's make sure to acknowledge the people that are making dinner, that are picking up the kids, that are taking out the trash, that are cleaning the house, that are making sure you're fed, that are funding your sports or your music lessons or your private school education, or they're paying for the gas that is going into the car for you to drive around. I wanted you to lean into that. And that can be as simple as, you're filling up your car at the gas station and sending your spouse or the person that pays for your gas a text, hey, just wanted to say thank you so much for working so hard so that I could put gas in the car and I can take care of the kids and get them where they need to be. I love writing notes as well, and I leave my husband notes all the time. I'll put sticky tabs on his laptop, or we have another business, and so there's some cash, so sometimes I'll put like a note card in there, regarding like the money and like I love you more than this money and things like that. And so just adding those special touches. When it comes to employers, I just this week have received several text messages from my team, like just stating like how grateful they are to be part of our organization. They're grateful for me. And as a CEO and as the founder, that warms my heart. It makes me feel so great, because there's so many times that if you are an employer, you don't really feel appreciated at times, or you think that people don't care for you, they just care about their paycheck and things like that. So that was super rewarding for me, and it really made me feel good. And at the end of the day, anybody can work anywhere, but at the same time, when they are showing how much they appreciate you, it goes a long way. So if you are really grateful for your boss or your employer or board chair, I want to encourage you to send them a text and share that as well. You never know also what other people are going through. That text may make a difference, or it may help with a decision that they were considering. I know that, when it comes to employees, employees are the heartbeat or the backbone of an organization, and we really need them. So they need to be constantly shown appreciation and validation. And so if you're going to, be expanding your business, or you're going to be taking on a new sector or taking on a new account, this is super important, because you want to retain those employees and you want to make sure that they really feel valued. So an example may be, I really appreciate you showing up early to work because it makes me feel really prepared, and it makes me understand your commitment to the success of the company. Or, hey, I really appreciated you sending the recap of that meeting. It saved me some time for it, and that's going to keep us all on track. And I really valued that. So there's a couple different things that you could do as an employee, as an employer, to make sure your employees feel appreciated. During summer, I do massages bi-weekly, 15-minute massages for our team members that are working summer camp, because that can be really draining and exhausting. We do company lunches as well. Like we just did a Thanksgiving lunch. We'll be doing a holiday lunch. There's some days that I will, buy tacos or like $1 on Tuesday. So I wanted to encourage you to do that for your employees. And then with your family, we can't always pick the family members, but we do love them. And it's really important that we call and listen to them, even though you may not want to. It's just a way to show you're grateful for them in some capacity. And sometimes just sending a quick text, like even times when I'm limited on time, I'll send text message to family members. Hey, you crossed my mind. Don't need to call back. I just wanted to let you know that I was thinking about you and sending you positive vibes. Sometimes I'll ask how they are if I have time to respond to those text messages and engage in a conversation, but sometimes I don't have it. So I don't want to create that conversation and then not respond to where they think, oh, now she's not available. So once again, I would encourage you to quantify how you appreciate them, give them an example. And if you do this, this is going to encourage people to continue showing up for you, showing up on time, contributing to the company's success, showing up as a really great spouse as well. And sometimes we have to lead by example. And if we look within and understand who we are and what we want, and we give ourselves grace and we acknowledge, give gratitude, we're going to do that for other people. And what's going to happen is other people are going to start to do the same things as well. And I think it's super, super important. So I wanted to also mention too, telling people that you really appreciate their effort goes a long way. Once again, a lot of these examples are in my book. If you haven't got it, once again, it's available on Amazon. It's a really quick read. It makes a great stocking stuffer as well. A lot of people were like, oh, well, my marriage is fine. I'm like, the book was inspired by my marriage failing. However, all the lessons are about personal and professional development. I have a lot of podcast guests, and I have a lot of great value within the book. And there's so much greatness, and really a lot of the tools in there can help you transform your life. They can help you transform your business. They can transform your marriage. So it's not just about marriage. There's so much great stuff in there. Jamie, who was just on my podcast last week, wrote the foreword. He sold his company Cool Today and now works for another company. He has over like 40 something years of experience. And his whole thing right now is about financial freedom and being able to wake up every single day and do whatever he wants. And that is so powerful. And if you would like something like that, I want to encourage you to go to that episode and listen to him and get the book as well. And then once again, just find a mentor, find a circle of people that can encourage you, that can support you, and that can help you with whatever it is that you need today. So once again, allow some grace, give some gratitude, and don't forget to take time for yourself. And I want to thank you for tuning in. And as always, I want you to consider who are 5 people that could benefit from today's podcast or another podcast that was mentioned today. Or maybe you just want to text someone and say, hey, I'm really grateful for your friendship. So lucky that I get someone in my life like you and I can count on you. Or it may be a team member that you want to send a quick text to and just say thank you. It makes a huge difference. Anyways, cheers to you. Thank you for tuning in, and happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays since we're getting into the holiday season.